Hey guys, I'm going to be showing you my CyberDragon CyberDark deck profile. Now, CyberDragon CyberDarks hold a dear place in my heart because they are one of the first decks I had with actual firepower. Back when I started playing, my deck was pretty much normal monster beatdown. Then I discovered the beauty of CyberDragons and immediately fell in love with every machine deck in the world. So, in case you guys are tired of hearing me ramble, here is the deck. Now, you're going to want to start off by playing CyberDragon at 3. This card's pretty self-explanatory. You need it for all your fusions. And it makes bringing out this bad boy a little bit easier. Next thing you're going to want is 3 core. Again, obvious choices and search out almost every spell in your deck except Power Bond, and you're going to be wanting this for every single one of your CyberDark spells. You need this for a combo piece. It's the best normal summon in the game, in my opinion. Next to, I don't know, maybe Summoner Monk, but that's another video. Okay, next up we're playing 3 Hers. This is also a really good searcher because you can send it to the grave off of Cybernetic Horizon, and if you do, it can search a CyberDragon, and that's always amazing. So you can use Hers to search out Core, and then use Core to get your spells. So Hers can also search out your spells. Next we're going to be playing 2 Nashter because if you want, you can use Nashter to revive your Nova, and then overlay it into another CyberDragon Infinity after you've summoned your first one and obviously detach the materials. And you can also summon your CyberDark Chimera, because why wouldn't you want to? Alright, now onto my CyberDark lineup. We're running 3 Claw. I'm choosing 3 Claw just because Cybernetic Horizon is also treated as a CyberDark. If Cybernetic Horizon wasn't treated as a CyberDark, I'd be running this at 2. But it is also a really good searcher and can search out half as many cards as Core without using your normal summon. Next up, we're playing the 2 Chimera. This is your Power Bond searcher, so you can make your big beefy boss monsters and can get your CyberDarkness Dragon to be a force to be reckoned with and will make your opponent cry. Next up, we're playing one of each original CyberDark. These cards are literally just names. Play 1. I've seen some deck profiles where they play 2. Don't. I only use these for names. And if you run more than 1, there's no point because some of the cards require you to only have one type of CyberDark, like CyberDark Realm. You can only search out cards in your graveyard. Alright, now on to our spells. We got 2 Power Bond. This is your main fusion spell. This can summon out pretty much your entire extra deck except for my couple of jank cards I threw in. It's really good. And it doubles its attack. So as long as you manage to kill your opponent, I guess you want if you kill your opponent, but this helps with that a lot. If you manage to summon Rampage Dragon with this, your opponent is going to kill themselves. Next up, 3 Emergency to search out your Core, or Nashter, depending on what the situation needs. Next up, we got 1 Cyber Rev System because it's a good card, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have that many uses. You can use it for a couple of things if you want to get back a couple of your main deck cards, but this deck is really extra deck based, and the only extra deck card that you can revive with this is Siger. Alright, next up I'm playing 1 Repair Point, because you need CyberDragons in this graveyard. It can only search out light machine type monsters, and this deck, and half of this deck's monsters are dark machine. Next up, and when I show you this card, don't click off the video, I'm running 2 Machine Dupes. Now, this card has 8 targets in this deck, and if you get any of those 8 targets, you instantly get an Infinity. So just play it. Trust me, I don't care how inconsistent it makes your deck. That's why I'm playing it at 2. Next up, we're running the 3 CyberDragon Horizon, because this card will get you to all your boss monsters incredibly quickly. If you want, you can cut this down to 2 and run an Overload Fusion. I don't. Or if you want, you can run another CyberDark Realm, because as you'll see, I'm only running 2. Next up, we got CyberDark Realm, which, as I just said, I'm running at 2. This is an extra normal summon, so you can use this to get out your CyberDark End Dragon relatively quickly. And it has the neat little effect of adding a CyberDark on summon. So if you want, you could add Claw to get this. Next up, we're running one Monster Reborn, because this can revive anything. And if your opponent's playing something like Invoke, then you can revive their Invoke cards. And you won't even need to spend the $50. Next up, we're playing one Forbidden Chalice, just to mess with people that play Appaloosa. And it's one of the best cards in the game. Best Forbidden card. If you can be searched out by Condemned Maiden. I just love this card. I ran this card, like, even before I knew how amazing it was. Okay. Next up, I'm playing the Triple Imperm. Because, like, why wouldn't you? It's a better effect Veiler. I use that term loosely because it does have a bit of the drawbacks that Veiler doesn't. For example, Veiler can be used on your turn after you do your combo, so it can be used also as a defensive in case your opponent has their negate set up and you don't want to deal with that on your turn. But Imperm is also really good for disruption. And then I'm playing one CyberDark Invasion, because if you manage to pull this off and get your, Cyber Darkness Dragon, then your Cyber Darkness Dragon has 1 negate per turn, 9,000 attack, 10,000 if you don't use the negates, and no, that's just it. Okay, next up we have one Cybernetic Overflow. Amazing card, only works with Cyber Dragons. That's why I'm running it at 1, because if I ran any more, it would make this deck clunky and inconsistent. Alright, so that's it for the main deck. Now, moving on to the extra deck. I'm going to be running Double Nova. This is a controversial card. It's pretty good and can be better if your opponent gammas it. And you can use it to special summon any of your machine type fusions. God, I can't speak today. But you can only make Infinity once per turn with it. So I'm still kind of debating on this. Might cut this out for Cleafort Genius, I think it's called. Yeah, I think it's called Cleafort Genius. It's the purple Link monster. The purple Cleafort Link monster. If any of you guys know, leave it in the comments. I forget the name and I'm too lazy to grab the card. Next up, we're going to be running 2 Infinity. This card's your negate. It can take a monster. This was the original Dragoon. Changed my mind. This card could take a card, didn't destroy it. The only thing it didn't have was burn damage and 2 OP of a negate. But the negate for this only doesn't need you to pay cost for your hand. You just need to detach a material. And his effect gives him extra material. So that's always nice. That's it for these monsters. Now on to my fusion cards. I'm running 1 Cyber Darkness Dragon, because it's good, but this deck can only summon 1 copy because I don't have 10 Cyber Darks. I think it was... Actually, no, I think I do have 10 Cyber Darks, but I can't get them in the graveyard consistently enough to make 2, so there really isn't a point to it. Next up, you got your 1 copy of CyberDark End Dragon. You're rarely making this card. You're making this card if you overload fusioned into Cyber Darkness Dragon and don't have anything better to do, or your opponent has some crazy card and you need this card to be on the field and unaffected by it. But I mean, like, that only if it's a floodgate, it doesn't matter. I guess it could help with clearing boards pretty easily, but I mean, that's it. I'm still deciding on this card because I love it as new support. I love it as a concept, but is it practical competitively? Next up, 2 Cyber End Dragon. If you power bond this, you're good to go, but mainly, one of them's fodder for Cyber Darkness Dragon, and the other one's just really easy to summon, so you get an 8,000 beater with piercing. Next up, we're playing 2 Rampage Dragon. Don't have another Ultra Rampage. This card can get 3 attacks, and if you power bond it, gets 4,200 attack. So if your opponent T-sets, they die. So that's just powerful to have. Next up, I'm playing 1 Mega Fleet because I don't own 2. If you own 2, then I would probably cut the Platinum Gadget. Sorry, did the audio get? I'll just check it later. I would probably add a second and take out Platinum Gadget because Platinum Gadget has few uses. And 1 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon because it's incredibly rare your opponent's only playing machines, and I don't want to side deck it, and I didn't really have another option. But I mean, it's still a good card. And you can use it to use cards on your own side of the field as material. So you got like your 5 Cyber Dragons, but don't have anything to do with it. You fuse them all together to your 5k beat stick. Next up, 1 Platinum Gadget, as I said, would immediately either cut this or the Cyberdark End Dragon for another Mega Fleet Dragon. But that's only because this card doesn't have any uses besides special summoning Chimera. Then, lastly, 2 Siger. I love Siger. You can get your Rampage to 6,300 attack with Siger. And if your opponent manages to survive that, then you still have, like, this entire thing to go through. They still have to deal with everything else. My deck makes sure you will be able to survive those turns. Okay, now, on to our side deck. We are playing 3 Veiler for defensive purposes. If your opponent runs a lot of cards with negates like Invoked Machaba and you don't want to deal with it, just Veiler it. Then we're playing 3 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. If your opponent's activating annoying cards and has a deck that spams out a lot of effect monsters, or if your opponent's running Evil Twins, you can just Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit the Evil Twin that tried to revive the other twin. And the other twin's effect won't activate because that card will be in the graveyard before it's summoned. So that's actually a neat interaction. I like that interaction a lot. Next we'll play 2 Kaijus in case your opponent is running Dragoon, because all my homies hate Dragoon. And you can also use it for your Chimera, the fusion one. God, why the hell? Who the hell made... Oh, Fortress. I'm an idiot. Whatever, they have confusing names. Next up, you're playing your 1 Machine Dupe. This is because you're running 2 in the deck, and if you want to run it, sure, but it might not always be the best option. So this is for the times when it is the best option. Next, we're running 2 Overload on the side because I like big monsters. Okay, next we're running 1 Overflow for effect removal in case your opponent's running cards that can't be destroyed by battle. And finally, we're running my favorite card personally, 3 Witches Strike. Now, a lot of people have been sleeping on this card. This is an OP card. Let me just read this effect. If your opponent negates the normal or special summon of a monster's, or the activation of a card or effect, destroy all cards your opponent controls and in their hand. This card resets your opponent to nothing. They get nothing. And if they're not running a graveyard or line deck, they are screwed. And today's meta, you need to run your 20 negates or your deck is garbage. So you have 20 opportunities to use this. Would add this to the main deck, except it doesn't really have any combo extension potential. But if your opponent's running something that plays a lot of negates, like the new Shadal Invoked, those summon like 3 Machaba, so you just run 1 of these and destroy it. And if they manage to negate 3, then Overflow. Okay, so that's it for the deck. I hope you enjoyed, and this is my actual budget deck, because a lot of the other ones I've seen say their budget, and then run a couple of cards that will bust your wallet a bit. So these cards can't be that expensive. So let's say you spent $30 for the three structure decks. Let's say the side deck's like not even $5 on top of that. Actually, no, this jacks up the price a lot, but you can cut this for literally any other hand trap. So, and Infinity, it's like $1 when I got it. Might be different for you, but this copy was $1, and this copy I got in a trade, so I don't really know how much it is. The prices may have changed because this card became way better with the structure deck. I don't care what people say. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed an actual budget CyberDragon CyberDark deck.